Hey everyone, I'm Jen Jones. I'm a product analyst here at Silverpop that works with our development teams. And today I'm going to go over Engage Dynamic Content, what the feature is, and how you can use it to help your business. So the first thing is that relevancy is the key to successful emails. What you want to do is hit that sweet spot between what you want to say and what your contacts want to hear. And that's a very small little area there, and that's where you're trying to get to. It's all about the relevance of your emails. So how do you do that? You do that by sending very targeted and precise messages to each contact in your database. You want to make sure that each message that you send is customized based on your product, your message, and the service that you want to send to each contact. As you know, everybody's really busy, and an email message only has a little bit of space in it, so you want to maximize that space to make sure it has the most relevant information in there that you can. And you do this by looking at unique behavior and attributes of all of your contacts. So you want to tailor each email based on the unique behavior of that contact and make sure that you're hitting that sweet spot and getting that relevant information out to each and every contact in your database. And I'll walk you through how to do that with dynamic content. So before we go on, let me talk real quick about an example. This is an example our marketing department has used. And in here you can see that Atlanta was actually customized on the image and the wording. So that image there's one for Atlanta, there might be one for Boston, but this was driven by dynamic content to make sure that every person received the relevant information that was important to them based on where they were going. You can quickly become unmanageable with the number of templates you're trying to support. So just a few behaviors, and then you have a few variations on each behavior. If you wanted to try to send out customized emails to each of your contacts without using dynamic content, you're going to be spending your entire day managing templates and probably have a lot of errors. So what you do is you actually use dynamic content. And so by using dynamic content and the rule sets, you're able to just have one template that you can use different behaviors and the variations on the behavior to just have one thing you're now trying to support. So let me go through a case study by Air New Zealand, which is really interesting and probably one of my favorite things. What they did, they actually used dynamic content in both pre-flight and post-flight emails. I'm going to walk through those real quick and show you. So on their pre-flight destination email, what they send out is some pictures of where you're going, some local delicacies, the weather, and also a flight crew member, which I think is the coolest thing. So this guy here, this was the email I received, he's going to be on my flight. So when I get on there, I have a friendly face, somebody I know, and also I have helpful information with me to take on my vacation so I can see, here's what the weather is, hey, I should probably check out these places of interest, and hey, some good food I can look forward to. But look at the results that these people are getting. They're actually seeing a unique open rate of 69% and a click rate of 38% on these pre-flight email results. Those are fantastic results and really exciting if we could all get great results like that. Now, their post-flight email is actually a little bit different. So their post-flight email, they have great responses on these, but what they're doing is they're sending out a survey and they're saying, hey, let me get a little more information about you. They're trying to guide you to their preference center. And the other piece that's interesting is their preference center is one of their most clicked links in their emails. So what they do is they're feeding the system to get more information so that their next email is that more relevant to you. So maybe it's, hey, where did you think you want to go next? How was it? What did you think? What did you like? What didn't you like? And all those behaviors and attributes are then fed back through and engaged and used to drive the dynamic content that you're going to receive in your next email. So again, great results. The other thing that I think is really cool is that people have been commenting on Facebook about their emails, their pre-flight emails, post-flight, how great they are, how cool they think their emails are. And it's just amazing that somebody would actually comment on Facebook, but then they're also printing them out and they're showing them to the flight attendants when they get on the flight. And hey, I have an email with your picture in it. It's just really neat how the customers are really engaging and really seem to be welcoming these emails. So again, the whole thing here is to be relevant. You want to hit that sweet spot. And using dynamic content and behaviors, it's easy to do that. All right, so very easy. It sounds great. You guys want to implement it, but how do you do it? Well, you can do it a couple ways. Let's talk about where you can put it. Anywhere you see these little stars that are circled, that's all your dynamic content rule set. So you can use it in your mailing content. You can use it in the subject line. And you can use it in the from name, from address, and reply to address of your emails. So how do you get it done? What I'm going to do is here you can see where I have a picture here. That's just so you know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make that picture based off dynamic content. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the little dynamic content button. and I'm going to be asked a few questions. So as a rule, your content area is where the content's going to be, and your rule set is basically your criteria. So I'm saying here my content area, that's going to be called my destination picture, and my rule set is based off of what web page they viewed. I want it based on my website behavior. You guys have probably seen this UI. It's very similar to what you see in behavioral queries. So I'm going to select website behavior, and I'm going to go ahead and make up a rule. So you can see here I'm doing it that they've viewed my web page, my mountain trip web page in the last 30 days, and that's what I'm going to put in my destination picture of my mountain. So you do this for every piece that you want to put in there, and I just wanted to show you guys it looks like what you see today when you're building your emails. Here I'm going to go ahead. You have a couple choices to upload your file, where you're going to choose your image from, very similar to other pieces of the application. Where I had picture here just as a placeholder so you guys can see, you actually see the dynamic content icon in there, so you can tell that's where your piece of dynamic content is going to be. So the first thing I like to do is test my personalization before I test my dynamic content. And this is simply because I know this contact in my database has very specific attributes and should trigger this mountain image to be displayed. So if I know that, it's very easy for me to do a quick smoke test and make sure, yep, this contact should be seeing mountains, and they are. I like to do that just to make sure I don't have to go any further. If I have any problems, I know immediately before I do any other testing. So once I go ahead and do that, all you do is pick somebody out of your database, put their email address in, and hit test, and this will all change. You can see here, this Jennifer was actually personalization up in the top where it had the % first name. That was actually personalization I'm testing, so you can see it, and I'll show you on the next slide. You'll see the difference. So that did populate, but this contact was actually going to the mountain trip. The other thing is then you go and you test your dynamic content, and when you do that, you can see here I can test different rules, and so I'm testing a couple of them. Now I'm going to test the beach just so you can see that things did change, and you'll see that my personalization is no longer working. So I wanted to show that to you, but you can see here I have two different rules. I have mountain picture and beach picture, and so I'm testing rule 2 across the board. They're all a little bit different. So here you'll see that the first name is no longer Jennifer, it's %%, which is my personalization. But I do now see that I have a beach picture here in where my image is, and I also have beach up in my subject line. So it's really cool. You can just quickly see how testing this is easy and fast, but you really should do it. The other thing I do suggest to do is test all your rules. Don't just do one and assume the rest of them are right. Just do a quick smoke test. You just change drop downs and make sure all your content is displaying as you expect. So I just want to go over real quick with 8.8, some information changed, or we have a new dynamic content. The classic dynamic content can be used in mailing templates, landing pages, and standalone rule sets in the asset library. It can be used with just profile data and contact lists, such as is or is not in the contact list. However, there is a new dynamic content out there. You have mailing templates, standalone rule sets in the asset library, but it's not supported in landing pages. So if you want to do landing page criteria in your dynamic content, you're going to have to use the classic dynamic content. But you do have more that you can use it with. You can use it with profile data, contact lists, whether they're in or not in a query, behaviors, relational tables, and an opportunity in CRM. So pretty powerful stuff and exciting uses for this new piece of functionality. So if you have any questions, I'd like to actually direct you to our community, where you can go out. It's a great resource. If you haven't been out there to submit ideas, you should, but also it's a great place for you to go and just throw out ideas and questions. Our users that we have out there in the community are awesome, and they'll all jump on there and help you out. And if they don't, somebody from Silverpop will definitely chime in on the conversation and help you get through your problems. Thank you. Have a good day.